Many years ago, there lived a happy family in a small village. The family consisted of a husband, a wife, and their young son. The husband's name was Chris, the wife's name was Margot, and their son's name was Tom, who was only 2 years old. This small family lived a peaceful and joyful life. To earn their living, they worked near a nearby dam. Time passed and life continued happily. Then one morning, heavy rain began to fall. It rained so intensely that the sky was completely covered with dark clouds. By evening, the entire village was surrounded by water. Water had entered every house in the village. People were panicking. The electricity was gone and darkness covered everything. Seeing the situation, Margot said to Chris, "We don't have enough food at home, and Tom is crying because he's hungry. Please go to the store and bring groceries for at least a week. We don't know when the water will go down." Chris replied, "Okay, I'll get food for everyone," and he left the house. After walking a short distance, Chris met some coworkers from his company. They asked him, "Where are you going?" Chris said, "I'm going to the store to buy food for my family." One of them, Jack, said, "Brother, it's been raining since morning. All the stores are closed. The radio is announcing that everyone should stay inside their homes to avoid danger." Chris replied anxiously, "My wife and child are hungry, and we barely have any food at home." "What should I do now?" Jack said. "Don't worry. I have plenty of food at my house. You can come with me and take whatever you need. We'll be happy to help you, but you must come with us right now." Chris asked, "Where are we going?" Jack replied, "We received a message from the dam. All senior workers must reach there immediately. There's a crack in the dam wall, and if it isn't fixed quickly, the dam could collapse." Chris said, "Then there's no time to think. Let's go quickly." They all rushed to the dam. When they arrived, the condition of the dam was very bad. It could collapse at any moment. Seeing this, Chris became very worried and said to his friends, "Let's leave immediately and protect ourselves and our families. We must evacuate the village as soon as possible. We don't know how much time we have." Everyone left the area. Chris ran back home, breathing heavily. Margot saw him and asked, "What happened? Why are you so worried?" After catching his breath, Chris said, "We must leave this village immediately." Margot asked nervously, "What happened?" Chris replied, "The dam is about to break." Margot said in shock, "Are you serious?" Chris answered, "Yes." "Let's leave right now," Chris said. "Just take some food and head toward the forest. We must reach higher ground to survive." Chaos spread throughout the village. Everyone was trying to save their lives. Chris and Margot took whatever they could. Chris picked up Tom in his arms and they walked toward the forest. After walking for a long time, they saw a high hill and began climbing it. After several hours of effort, they reached the top and sat under a large rock, waiting for the rain to stop. Soon, Tom began to cry. His mother fed him milk to calm his hunger. Chris said, "The night is so dark. I can't see anything around us." After some time, Chris heard the sound of rushing water. He realized the dam had collapsed and a massive flood was heading toward them. Chris said to Margot, "Hold Tom tightly. The water might reach us." As soon as he said this, a powerful wave hit them. They didn't even get a chance to react. All three were swept away. While being carried by the water, Chris got stuck under a rock. He tried desperately to free himself, but he couldn't. Chris lost his life there. Margot and Tom managed to hold onto a tree branch and were carried far away by the flood. They eventually reached the edge of a forest. Margot lost consciousness, while Tom remained beside her. After some time, morning came. Tom started crying loudly. His cries reached the ears of a saintly Baba who lived in a small hut nearby. The saint followed the sound and found a child sitting beside his unconscious mother, both covered in mud. The saint carried them to his hut and began taking care of them. Margot was still unconscious, but the saint cared for Tom, feeding him and protecting him. After 2 days, Margot regained consciousness. As soon as she woke up, she called out for Chris. Hearing her voice, the saint came and said, "Daughter, are you feeling better?" Margot asked. "Where is my husband? And where is my son?" The saint replied, "Your son is here and is playing. When I found you, your husband was not with you." Hearing this, Margot burst into tears. She understood that Chris was gone forever. She now had to live her life without him. The saint comforted her and helped her calm down. Margot hugged her son tightly, kissing him and holding him close. The child had no idea that his father was gone. Time passed, and Margot and her son slowly settled into life at the hut. Margot cooked food for the saint, cleaned the hut, and took care of herself and her child. Everything started going smoothly. The saint spent his days in devotion, while Margot served him. One day, Margot said to the saint, "We've run out of dry firewood. I need to go into the forest to collect some. Please take care of Tom." The saint replied, "Don't worry, daughter, I'll take care of him. Go without fear." Margot went into the forest. Seeing Tom playing nearby, the saint thought he would meditate for a while until Margot returned. While the saint was meditating, Tom wandered off and started playing near some bushes. After some time, he became tired and fell asleep there. Hours later, the saint woke from meditation and couldn't find Tom. He panicked and searched everywhere, calling his name, but Tom was nowhere to be found. Fear filled his mind. What if a wild animal took him? What will I say to his mother? She already lost her husband. If she loses her son too, she won't survive. The saint sat down, deeply distressed, and said, "I will not let this happen." He pulled a hair from his head, placed it on the ground, closed his eyes, and began chanting mantras. A bright light appeared, so intense that it was impossible to see anything. When the light faded, a child appeared who looked exactly like Tom. The saint picked up the child and held him close, saying, "I have saved myself from sin. I will give this child to Margot and she will never know." Some time later, Margot returned from the forest. She heard Tom crying and followed the sound. She found him sitting near the bushes. She picked him up and walked back toward the hut. As soon as she entered, she saw another Tom playing with the saint. She was shocked. She called out, "Baba, what kind of miracle is this? How can there be two Toms?" The saint saw that the real Tom was with Margot and asked her where she found him. Margot replied, "He was sitting in the bushes." The saint was overjoyed and told her the entire truth. After hearing everything, Margot was speechless. After a while she said, "You are truly powerful. I will serve you forever. I will love this second child just as much. I will name him Miracle." A few years later, the saint passed away. Margot and her two sons moved to the city, where they lived happily ever after. Sometimes life takes everything away, and sometimes it gives us miracles.